And just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them, you thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie,
you cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Justin Davis, with Meelz. What's going on, Meelz?
Yo, I am. What a week.
What a damn week.
What a week. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I mean, there's plenty to say. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty to say, but it's kind of like, where do we start?
Yeah.
Where do we start with everything that's been going on? And I feel like we cover not only just things that happen in the ring, but then things that happen online. And then it's like the reactions of the people and all this other stuff like that. So it's kind of like a very wild, kind of frantic week that we've had thus far. Yeah.
It's been probably, we thought Mania week was crazy. We thought Daniel Bryan coming back that week was crazy. We thought Ronda Rousey debuting was crazy. We thought all of those weeks were crazy. This Roman Reigns just literally a month ago.
Yeah.
Craziest week. Yeah. This, I won't say it's topped it. It's equal. This week in wrestling is equal. So we're going to get right to it on the A Show this week. We're not going to do like the traditional No Holds Barred. We have such a huge amount of content to talk about today on the show, including Survivor Series, including NXT Takeover. But we do have one thing that I guess we'll go long form on this week. It was where do we even start with the biggest news item this week here?
I feel like you got to start at
Raw, right?
Yeah, you got to start at Monday nights. You got to start at Monday night.
So Monday night, we thought we were getting Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. That's what we thought we were getting. We thought it was going to main event. Becky invaded Raw on Monday night at the end of the night in one of the most amazing and really career-defining moments of her career. And, bloodied face.
To me, it's easily the biggest moment of her career thus far. In terms of just the most notable, the most stamp. You could put a stamp on that and said that's the moment. When you talk about this current run that Becky Lynch is on, and we've been talking about it for months. I mean, we've been talking about it since, the night after SummerSlam. But really, when you have this like wave of momentum, and there are things that WWE just does that they get like right, and they just keep it going, and they manage to keep the wave of momentum. And I feel like eventually, yes, all good things eventually come to an end, but they've been really riding it. And Monday night was kind of like the full culmination of like the era of the man, if I can say that.
And like you said, Becky has been, whether it's on our covers every single week, whether it's been us going long form, we've gone long form on her so many times, probably the fourth or fifth time we've done so in the last 6 weeks, 6 months, really. As far as Becky Lynch goes, she came out, invaded Raw. What we didn't see at the time was how she got, she had it's being compared to Stone Cold's WrestleMania 13 moment. She had a bloodied face, and we thought that was, just innocent, innocuous. She might have gotten hit, a little hard, but we didn't think, it would be anything. News breaks out on Tuesday afternoon. Shout out to Sean Ross Sapp right before Smackdown that Becky and Ronda was off. It was off, and from there, videos started pouring in, showing exactly why Becky Lynch was not cleared and why that match was off. Nia Jax had listen, and this has been a big argument all throughout the internet, all week, throughout the IWC, Twitter, all of that stuff. I gotta say, like, looking at the video, Nia Jax hauled off on Becky Lynch, and I essentially broke her face, even though they say that on SmackDown. But like
the diagnosis is she has a broken face. I was like, no doctor would ever
say broken face.
Would ever say, all right, I'm gonna give you this prescription for your broken face. Like that's what you call ugly chicks. I don't know.
What Nia did do, however, with that one punch was give Becky a concussion, which rendered her, unable to be cleared before the allotted time. I'm guessing it's within 72 at least hours before they travel. I would assume to Survivor Series in LA this weekend. Is effectively rendering that match called off, and really, to the disappointment of everybody, a lot of people who have really gotten involved and really entrenched into the storyline of Becky versus Ronda, two wrestlers who aren't even on the same brand, but have been doing such good things with their individual brands that it has become such a hot match. And I think it's become one of the most must-see matches. But the Nia Jax issue has really grown out of control at this point. I think that, on two sides, a lot of people will say, it's wrestling. This is what happens. It's not ballet. Everyone says that. But on the other hand, Nia has a history of this, and it's kind of there is a hierarchy in WWE where if Nia had hauled off and punched Lisa Fox in the face and broke her nose or gave her a concussion, I hate to say, like, that would have been whatever. Or Dana Brooke, that would have been whatever.
Yeah, don't pick a black girl.
Yeah, Dana Brooke,
it would have been whatever,
Dana Brooke, it would have been what. And the thing, I mean, it's still right, but like Dana Brooke, it's whatever.
Right.
Becky Lynch, who is being positioned as the face of the promotion at this point, both promotions at this point, it's a little bit different, and rightfully so. I think Nia is getting heat, and I think that it's rightfully deserved. Like, I look at that video, Meelz, and I saw Nia look her right in the face. There's no one that you could confuse Becky Lynch for. There's no one that looks like her in that ring. She hauled the fuck off and punched her in the face.
All right, so here's my views on this sort of situation in terms of the pandemonium that's happened in the ring, everything that's going on, the emotions in the air. I 100% agree with you that she hauled off on her face. Like, it was probably way more hard than it deserved. And if you look around at the other women in the ring, they're doing their best to be gentle amongst like everything that's going on. And when you have pretty much just a ton of people going on, it's hits going everywhere. It's people slapping people out of nowhere. There are hits coming from behind you that you don't know. The point is just to get everyone out the ring or to evacuate everyone or something to the rather. What I would in terms of the stance that I'm probably actually taking, I genuinely think it was an accident. I think it was in terms of something where it's like, yes, she probably hits too hard. To me, this kind of reminds me of, especially when, everyone's talking about like stiffness and like, unsafe in the ring. It reminds me kind of Vader's WWF run in the late 90s. And Shawn Michaels essentially saying like, yo, he's hitting too hard, he's stiffing, and that sort of derailed his entire career. Vader in the WWF did not end on the best of terms, or, had sort of a really good ending to anything. I mean, he's still not even in the Hall of Fame, which is crazy. R.I.P. Vader. But it reminds me of that. I think the thing is, it's just like,
where do you stand?
I think all the hate towards Nia Jax is unwarranted, because I generally do feel like there are accidents that definitely happen in the ring. Could she be much more safer? Does she need to be reprimanded? Yeah, probably. I mean, things have gone on for probably more. This has happened more times, than you would like from one superstar. Than you would like from one.
More than accepted. I mean, there's a whole thread on Reddit about it.
Oh, yeah. And in terms of just the thread itself, I think that's, again, I think I think women are treated sort of unfairly from that aspect in terms of they're targeted way more heavier than men are. And I don't really care what Lance Storm says about how men were also targeted when they do injure opponents. I don't think we've seen any backlash compared to what happened to Brie Bella 2 months ago or what's going on with Nia Jax right now in terms of just like, okay, this was clearly something I don't think she really truly meant to sock this shit out of her. But she did. But now everyone's going around saying you ruined this, you're unsafe, blah, blah, blah. And to me, I think it's generally unwarranted. And I think overall it shows kind of how truly sexist wrestling fans can actually be.
Well, I'll agree there. And I also will counter with like Seth Rollins did get a level of that. I think he's probably the only man that ever has. But no one was saying he needs to go back to NXT.
No one was saying he needs to go back to NXT. Right. No one's saying she needs to be taken off the roster. No one says she needs to, be reprimanded. To me, in my opinion, when the things go on in the ring, it's unfortunate that these accidents do happen. But in my opinion, they are accidents. I really don't know what was going on in Nia Jax's head at that moment. I don't think she clearly saw Becky and was like, I'm going to haul off on this bitch right now. I don't think that's what... I don't think that's what she said. I really don't. I think it was all in the moment. She probably got hit hard by somebody else and she was trying to return it and sock Becky in the face. That's my opinion. I really don't genuinely think that she really meant to haul off on Becky. But I say this, there has been a pattern. People have brought this pattern to light. People have gone with their threads. Nia Jax was, in the past responsible for Bayley being out of SummerSlam. And, people showing the threads of her dropping Charlotte on her head and, the backbreaker to Asuka or a lot of different things. And I do think there needs to be some sort of reprimand. She needs to understand that she's responsible for her action. She needs to be a lot more careful with the things she does, but also in a sense, she's a big girl. Like it's not just, it's not the same as everybody else, who sort of lays a punch that way. She's a big girl. Like it's going to hurt when she hits you,
right. But I mean, again, I one thing I will say as far as her reaction to everything is that I think it's not a good idea for her to be trying to make tweets saying, "What about my fist?" type shit. Like, I don't know if you want to really start making an angle out of this. I think she could have waited a day or two for that tweet.
I mean, in terms of, I would say
it comes off as indignant. I just think she should have kept it low. She could have kept it low for a couple of days.
I think so, probably as well. I think that's probably not her, but I think that probably would have been for the best. But in my opinion, I don't have her mentions. Thank God. Her mentions right now are crazy. Her mentions right now are wild. And judging from in terms of just the character, not the character, but the actual person behind the character, she's someone who's just like, look at these, guys, I mean, they need to get a life. And that's essentially what she was saying with that post, in my opinion. She was like, you guys need to get a life. Like, you guys are...
What about my fist isn't a good... what about Becky's brain? It's not comparable.
This is true. This is true.
Comparable. But from that issue, I think that one thing we can agree on, I really think this has made Becky... This has been a blessing in disguise. And whether Nia is punished or not, I think Nia... And we'll talk about this on the show today. Nia has changed the entire course of the WWE. I don't know if it's for the better yet, but this one incident has changed literally everything for the show.
I think it's we have these unfortunate situations, and it is because of WWE's protocol. Because even probably 20 years ago, the match would have probably still gone on. She would have worn some sort of face mask, and that would have been sort of the end of it. But yeah, it's really changed the entire landscape. It's changed Survivor Series. It has brought a WrestleMania main event that we've talked about on this podcast before. And
oh my God,
viewing it at SummerSlam.
Talking about
Survivor Series.
We've been talking about this, and we'll get to this in a second. But we've been talking about a lot of the stuff that's supposed to be happening that literally happened in one night on Tuesday. And but Becky her moment, really, this kind of solidified her, because it's like now Becky is not only the conquering hero who went to Raw and beat people's asses, and now she has a match that everyone wants to see. So when she is back in the ring, it's easy. She just has to walk out. She is just, her reaction on Tuesday night on SmackDown was literally the biggest pop I've seen this side of AJ coming out. And I think it's even bigger than that. I think it's like up there with some of the biggest moments that we've seen in this generation. And I really think that this was a blessing in disguise for her, because she looks like a complete and utter badass, even more so than she did when she was beating up Charlotte in the Performance Center.
Let me just say this, in terms of just that final moment of Monday Night Raw, you can't like recreate magic like that. That was, in terms of just everything, sort of, even despite the punch to the face, the blood, the swagger, the walking, the final thing. I mean, and now also, you look at it. And
also remember, she was doing the rest of that last half, like when she walked up to the stairs and did all that stuff. She was doing that concussed. She doesn't remember any of that. It's insane. Like,
it's a moment. It's a moment. It's kind of surreal. Now it actually makes the moment a little bit more surreal. Like, it makes it such a major turning point. And to me, in terms of just women in WWE, I don't think we've ever, probably maybe even since Lita, and I think this is probably stronger than that. Yeah, this is bigger than that. I think, don't get me wrong, Lita was huge. I don't want to understate that Lita was huge, but I do think that there hasn't been a female star in the WWE that's just been so, not just, I'm the most over of all the women. She is one of the most over superstars in the WWE. She is a 1A, 1B sort of deal right now. Like, she is a major deal.
I don't know what if she's number one, I'm going to say right now, I don't know what the B is until Roman Reigns comes back.
Yeah.
I don't know what the B is.
I mean, quite frankly, and you know, it's this organic sort of star that usually WWE can't predict. In my opinion, they usually don't predict these stars.
No.
To me, this is kind of like a CM Punk or a Daniel Bryan or a Stone Cold Steve Austin or things back in the day where, you know, they brought in these people just for this one purpose, and then it's sort of tidal wave of momentum, and one moment shifts the entire thing. Now,
do you think that, and I know we have had a conversation about this, I think we could put it to rest, and now the turn is complete. This was not a heel turn.
No.
They tried it, because remember, we were doing a heel watch for her.
Yeah.
They fucked up that 1 week, and we had a long conversation about it. But now that this is over, this is not a heel turn. I think people can stop saying it at this point.
No, I don't think so. I think this is more of the blossoming of a new phase and a new character for Becky Lynch. Right. I don't think this is more in terms of alignments. This is more towards character trait and personalities. And, you know what? I'll avoid it. I know we weren't going to talk about the hug, but I think this to me is more. It speaks more volumes on sort of that. It speaks to something like a Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Before we get to that part, okay, I'll say my piece on the hug. Mm-hmm. Before we get to that part, because I do want to talk about what happened with SmackDown before we get into predictions.
Sure.
But I also want to just go back to when we were talking about the SummerSlam finish, mm-hmm. and Charlotte won, and I don't remember either of us being upset about it because of what happened after. But a lot of people were literally like, you know, they're still thinking that was the wrong move. And just to be clear, Charlotte winning, like, give Charlotte a lot of props for everything that she's done in that program, but also give her props for having to take the heat for winning that title in August, because she had to play, in order to get her friend over, she had to play the lightning rod for everything. If Becky won that title and she flipped after that, I would have called that a failure. That would have been a terrible move. Becky losing that title and then getting a chance. Like, they had that one stumble that Tuesday after, but they got it back, and Becky was able to build a groundswell of support of those fans that have loved her for 2-3 years since she moved on to SmackDown Live. And this is where we're at right now. I don't think that you should not give props to WWE Creative for knowing exactly what the fuck they had and using that against the better judgment of the fucking people on the internet. I think this was a fantastic fucking turn. I'm going to say it right now. This is literally my storyline of the year is Becky Lynch.
I think, yeah. You know what? I would probably call her like, if there was Gargano
Ciampa was great. This is better to me.
To me, this is a breakout star. This is something that's just like natural. It's organic. Right. It's like, it was a moment. People reacted very genuinely to it all. And that's kind of what you want. You want to evoke that sort of emotions from audience. You want to at least, provide that sort of just everything like that. When you want it to be as real as possible. Right. And I think if you're talking about, if they decided to give it to Becky and then turned her heel, it would have been probably artificial. Mm-hmm. This is probably as real as it actually gets in terms of getting the fans behind her side.
Yeah. And so this leads us to SmackDown with Becky having to come out and essentially choose her opponent. A lot of people are upset. I mean, obviously, we kind of alluded to it. It's going to be Charlotte and Ronda at Survivor Series, and we'll talk about that match at length in a few.
It's a no-brainer, in my opinion.
You have to swap. You have to swap the matches. I am very impressed and very I give all the kudos to WWE for realizing this and saying we can't have that match at Mania. It's not going to work. And swapping it and giving us the better match because I know we're going to get there. We all know we're going to get there.
Bruh. Let me just say this. When it's my idea, no one likes to give me any credit or no one wants to everyone likes to shit on it because it's my idea. But when someone else...
I didn't shit on it.
Listen, people, I'm not going to say you. I'm not going to say names. But people were very against the idea of let's go with Becky and Ronda at, WrestleMania, in my opinion. And yes, there is a sort of route where it's like, Becky, Becky wins the Royal Rumble, which 100% I still do think should happen. In my opinion, yeah, it just should have happened. It would have been wild, switching it one night and just kind of retconning a lot of different things. But I think in the long run, it still would have paid off, in my opinion.
I think that's what we want to see at this point.
Right. And I think the people want to see, I think if they leave Becky out of the Royal Rumble, we're definitely getting Charlotte and Ronda again, in my opinion.
I don't
because there's how would it happen? How would it happen?
I would put.
You would either then have Ronda lose the belt and then Ronda goes to Mania. How would it happen otherwise?
I'd still have Charlotte is clearly, and we'll talk about this in a second. Charlotte has seeded her number one-ness in a way that I've never even seen before. With a Cena or anyone, he never seeded to Punk. He never really seeded the Roman either. He just kind of disappeared.
So this is because, in my opinion, with those guys, it was competition. With Becky and Charlotte, I do actually think they're friends, and I do think Charlotte is actually happy for Becky Lynch. And then 100%. I also think in some part of it, Charlotte does not 100% want complete all the spotlight on her because she wants the entire division to flourish. Right. She doesn't want it just to be herself. She doesn't care to be the person running the brand. To me, in my opinion, WWE's in terms of that, the spotlight will always be on Charlotte. In my opinion,
absolutely. And I think that it leads us right to her choosing Becky or Becky choosing Charlotte rather. And we're getting that match on Sunday, and they shake hands and they hug, and that. I've seen so many people
I wasn't a fan of the hug. I wasn't a fan of the hug. I'm just
a lot of people weren't a fan of the hug. Go ahead, Meelz.
I think it's just sort of a misstep in the character of Becky Lynch. I don't think don't get me wrong, I'm not blowing this out of proportion. It's a hug. It's whatever. It's something that's small and it may, plant the seeds for something a little bit later on. But in my opinion, I think it was a misstep in character in terms of just the swagger of Becky Lynch and especially how she's been torching everyone on Twitter. like burning it down. Seth Rollins, Rhea Ripley, everybody else. She's been the one woman crusade, and just the swagger on her and everything like that. I think she could have gave the acknowledgement to Charlotte without hugging Charlotte, especially after that brutal match. But it is what it is. That's my opinion. I think it's just a light misstep. It's not something crazy.
I think that if there was ever a bury the hatchet moment, we rarely get these moments in WWE. We rarely ever get moments like this. I feel like if they really wanted to do it that way, they should have did it at Evolution. To be honest, if they were gonna squash the beef like that and not here, I will say that. I don't mind the hug because it was WWE, again, back against the wall on Tuesday, them saying this storyline is not going on again. It is over. And it was never hatred. It was always competition. And they're moving on and they are, going their respective ways. But also it is them saying Charlotte is down a peg a little. And Becky is up there. Becky chose her because she literally made Charlotte her son. And at that point, there's ain't no more. It's like, I beat your ass. We toughed it out. We fought it out. We scrapped, hug, get it over with. It's over. And that's just the way I saw it. And I agree that it might have been jarring to some people because of how Becky, was. But I don't think, not in one moment was it ever, in my opinion, from what I saw explicitly seen, that it was ever like, I don't fuck with you no more. It was always, I want this spot and I'm going to fight you for this spot. And that's the way I took it. And the hug is, all right, we done.
I think it's more, to me, it's more character based in terms of just not being completely in line with the character that she has now. That's just my beef with it.
Would you agree that it was to finish that feud? It was to literally say that this feud's over. Would you agree with that?
To me, it was to acknowledge that Charlotte is capable of facing and potentially beating Ronda Rousey. That's what it meant for me. In my opinion, if it had been, if this was, and, sorry to use all the comparisons, but to me, when you think of character base, if you have a Triple H, if you have a Stone Cold, if you have The Rock, they're not doing that. In my opinion, even The Rock.
Well, Austin's not saving Stephanie McMahon either.
This is true. Well, she hugged him. I'll say that.
Oh, I'm not saying the hug. I'm saying Austin as a character would never save a McMahon.
This is he was brought to a moment at that point. It was in terms of just the context of the storyline. I don't want to get, but it's more of to me, just the character. That's more my beef with it. In terms of it's just not in line with the character. But the hug is the hug. It's not a big deal.
It happened. Cool, great. That's our place on the hug. Shout out to the chat. It didn't end. I'm pretty sure we're gonna argue about something way dumber in a second. So it's usually always how it happens. Let's get into NXT Takeover Los Angeles, Meelz, War Games. It is a short card, 4 matches on this card. They're not doing the 5-match thing. Triple H said earlier today that the 2 out of 3 falls match and War Games are going to take up the bulk of the show, which I'm all for.
That's incredible.
But let's start off with the 2 out of 3 falls match, which I think will actually go first. And I think it should go first because you don't want to have like 2 really long matches close to each other. You want to start with one and bookend with one, You got Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane, 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT women's title. What say you, Meelz? Who do you think comes out on top here?
Man, at this point, it's likely. The way that it's looking. The way it's looking on the main roster, I'm just going to say.
To me,
the way it's looking on the main roster, it looks like Shayna Baszler should lose. Because she's got 2, a very stiff Samoan coming her way in terms of Ronda Rousey. And another stiff Samoan. Who do I think will win?
It goes without saying. This is going to be a tremendous match. I think. We talked about it.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We talked about it last week. We think it's going to be a good match. I know, Meelz, you're not a really big fan of the stip, but I think that they're going to go all out here. I think their matches have progressively gotten better every single time, and I think this is going to be this could really be a match of the year contender.
I'm interested in the psychology of the match. The psychology of a 2 out of 3 falls match is always intriguing because I feel like people it's very, very easy to fall into the pattern of a regular 2 out of 3 falls match. So depending on how they do it, it could be very, very interesting. I think probably, I thought Shayna was going to lose last time, but here we are. I would say probably, you know what? I'm going to probably say Shayna Baszler is going to win. I'm gonna go on a very large limb. To me,
that's a large limb.
The inclusion of Marina and Jessie May just adds a new dimension to it, and to me, it needs a little bit more length on the NXT roster to make it work. I don't think Shayna Baszler leaving them high and dry after just forming the 3 out of 4 horsewomen is particularly good. So I'm probably gonna go with Shayna Baszler here.
To me, this match is whoever loses goes to the main roster. That's what this match is to me. I think Kyrie's ready. I think Shayna's ready. I think, but however,
where would you put Kyrie? By the if I had to ask, where would you put Kyrie?
You put on Raw.
Okay.
Put on Raw. You don't want her facing Asuka yet. You don't want that yet. I think you have a lot of heels that she could go against that she can beat every week right now.
Right.
And she's got that small stature that I think really would lend herself to matches against like bigger people, and her and Alexa I think could really tear it down.
Hey, she could team up with Ember Moon to face the Samoans. You never know.
Absolutely. But I mean, on the other end, I think Kyrie needs a longer run. And I think that she has feuds that she has coming out of this that have not been finished, such as her defeating Bianca before and Bianca winning that match again. Lacey Evans, they've had a long-standing feud. I think there are a lot of exciting things, whereas with Shayna, there aren't enough faces for her to face anymore. Like where it's like they aren't up and coming. I mean, I believe they're going to flip Candice. Mia Yim is just starting, and I think she's got a program with Bianca probably coming between that.
She was beaten tonight on NXT.
She was.
Bianca Belair is still undefeated.
But I think it's time for a new heel on that. On there, I don't think heels on the women's side last very long, and I also think that it's just time for Shayna to move up. I think she's like grown tremendously since she's been on NXT, almost 2 years now, and I think there's less time for her there than Kyrie. I think she's going to put on a valiant effort, but of course her win in Evolution is the reason why we needed to get here. So I think she is the transitional champion here, and I think Kyrie Sane wins it 2-1.
To me, I would I just have to see an opposition for the obviously Marina and then Justin May, unless that was a one-time thing. But judging from NXT, it doesn't look like a one-time thing.
I'd have Io and Mia or somebody come out and counter that.
Yeah, that would be nice.
They've already tweeted in support of Kyrie. I think you do that, have Shayna lose in like a 6-woman match or something like that, and then let Marina and Jessamine do whatever they got to do. And I think they'll be called up way sooner than we think. If it needs to happen that way.
To me, in my opinion, the reason why I say Shayna Baszler, I'm saying let's keep her. It's already November. It's not like we're going to figure her into WrestleMania plans currently. So to me, let them get a run on NXT, and then we call them up the night after WrestleMania, and you start the 4 Horsewomen. You turn Ronda heel. You do a whole bunch of different things. To me, it's setting up for that.
Next match, Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. A really interesting match in that I don't feel like there has been enough on TV to make me really excited for it. I love both of these guys. I think they're going to have a great match, but who goes over here? I don't see a finish to this match.
Well, I'll say, because you haven't seen it yet, they did show a video package for this match.
Okay.
In my opinion, it was a very good video package, but this is WWE we're talking about. It's like, whatever. They really pieced it all together in terms of just this is more, they rolled the story back from Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black getting in his way of Tommaso Ciampa and him having to make him pay for getting in his way. And now, in terms of that, Aleister Black wants revenge on Johnny Gargano because he essentially not only cost him the NXT Championship, but it cost him a couple months out. Yeah. So to me, it's it's really surface level, but it's it still works in my opinion. Johnny Gargano, man, I don't.
You don't have him lose at a consecutive takeover here. You know,
but you can. That's the thing. You can have him lose. Like in my opinion, it's like
to get the heel turnover.
No, I just think I don't even know if he's fully. To me, there's an element of shades of gray with this one, which I don't know if he's completely fully heel. I just think, as we said last week, I just think he needs his ass whooped. Because I feel like he's just taking things a little too far. He's letting his emotions run amok, and he's not properly thinking. And Aleister Black with that, is it called Fade to Black?
The Black Mass.
Black Mass, there we go. Is going to probably end his world. And rightfully so, in my opinion. And I think, in my opinion, Aleister Black goes over. I'm calling it Aleister Black.
I'll agree with you. I'll say Aleister goes over. I think you keep Aleister strong. I think he's he's been kept very protected since his debut. 2 losses. I mean, come on. He's clearly going to get the belt back. But like, what is you kind of said your thoughts on Gargano's turn, but like, what do you think this leads to him if he does lose this match? It's getting to a point, and I'm going to bring this up in the Ciampa match as well. It's like these guys have been on this NXT roster for like 3 years.
Yeah,
we're getting to a point where it's like there's like nothing more for them here, and I think it's time for them to kind of like start winding down their runs. Which is scary, and I think it's scary.
The thing is, because I don't know, it's scary because I really don't know what's on the other end. I really don't know. I don't know if it's main roster. I don't know if it's 205. Because they're small
tiny
enough for 205.
They are tiny dudes.
But they can also work on the main roster. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of uncertain in sort of where things go after this. But I think,
who does Gargano get? Like Riddle? Like or I guess I'll save that.
He might. I mean, quite honestly, he might even get, Rick. In my opinion, this goes Aleister Black beats Johnny Gargano. At the Rumble, we get Aleister Black versus Tommaso Ciampa. Mm-hmm. And then it potentially winds back around to Gargano versus Ciampa one more time. And hopefully that is it. And the ring explodes and just both of them end up on the main roster. Because at this point, this is the longest sort of thing, and it's going to be the longest match and the longest story and everything like that. It's already a time-tested story, but, we'll see how it goes.
Speaking of a time-tested story, Tommaso Ciampa, who has been champion for quite a few months now. I always thought that he was going to be the transitional guy. Ended up not, but I mean, there isn't really a challenger for him until Velveteen Dream, who is getting his first crack at the NXT title. They are going against each other in Los Angeles for the title, for the strap. Meelz, is this Velveteen Dream's time, or is this just a tryout?
To me, it feels like a tryout. It doesn't feel, if in my opinion, in terms of the match that probably hasn't gotten enough of a heat behind it, just because I think both guys have a reasonable amount of cool factor behind them. Mm-hmm. Like, people love Tommaso Ciampa's gimmick. People love Velveteen's gimmick. I think everyone is going to enjoy this match, and I think that's what everyone's looking forward to. Is it Velveteen's Dream's time yet? No.
So you're picking Ciampa?
I'm picking Ciampa. Yeah. I'm picking Ciampa.
I'll pick Ciampa too.
I think it'll be Velveteen Dream's time. It's not his time yet. It's not his time yet.
I think next year is that moment for him. I'm enjoying his face turn as of right now. It's been really good. I think it'll be a great match, but I think we touched on this before. Who's gonna really dethrone Ciampa? I think Aleister has to get the rub back here, right?
I think Aleister eventually does. Ciampa winds off with Gargano somewhere, and I think we may get an Undisputed Era championship match finally at the WrestleMania.
Yeah, so you get Black and Cole finally again, and Cole wins and Black goes. Yeah, which makes sense. That's about as long as second runs work for NXT champions, around 3 months. So I get that. And I agree with that. But do you think, and I've always had this story in my head, Gargano comes out, helps Ciampa win. We get heel DIY versus Black and Dream. That's to me, that's the money match.
That would be fire.
And you can still get to Black Ciampa because, I mean, not Black Ciampa. You can still get Ciampa Gargano because I don't think I don't think they'll team up that long anyway. I think they're just both crazy guys. I think they'll just go against each other again.
That would be fire. But
just imagine the handshake between Velveteen and Alistair. The fucking roof would blow off the place.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say I know. It doesn't seem in line with what's going on.
But their stories are intersecting because they're both facing off against those guys.
Yeah, they're
going to intersect again, and I think people they've waited a year for this, so I think it's going to be fire if it does happen at Takeover. Now we get to War Games. Whew, this is going to be like an hour match. The Undisputed Era versus Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders. Does the Undisputed Era, or will they two-peat War Games again this year?
Whew.
It's hard to predict it. It's hard to predict these matches.
It really doesn't matter. What nothing's really on the line. Like
they could make something on the line, but I think in order for there to be things on the line, they have to lose this match. And I think that kind of gives War Raiders their chance to get the tag titles because they could be the ones that pin them. Mm-hmm. And you could, effectively end the Ricochet Adam Cole feud, which has been going on since the summertime. And you could give Pete Dunne something else to do. Pete Dunne is kind of like his chaotic neutral guy that just comes in and just does whatever.
Man is on every show. Shit, call him to the main roster. Exactly. I want to see Pete Dunne called up. What are we doing here? I would watch it 205 Live if he was called up, or even SmackDown, honestly.
They're going to make the Pete Dunne reign. Before I say this, who do you think is going to win? You think the good guys or bad guys?
Bad guys.
Okay.
How many times have good guys won War Games?
Well, here's the thing. The bad guys got the advantage. Obviously, Kyle O'Reilly got the advantage for the team tonight, and I think it's gonna. That's usually how it goes, right? I think the good guys have won War Games before.
Let me see. I want to look at the history of War Games and just see. Okay. Oh God, WCW. I forgot. Okay. 4 Horsemen lost. 4 Horsemen lost. 4 Horsemen lost. Oh God, never mind. The first 3 losses in War Games, the heels have lost.
Yeah, exactly.
One. Damn. Wow. Yo, the War Games match was made for 4 Horsemen to lose. They were just doing these monthly. Wow, Ric Flair's the GOAT. You know what? I'm looking at all these are monthly, like within days of each other. God, wow, the Hulkamaniacs, NWO, Team Russo. Could we talk about that? You guys are going to you guys are going to talk about on late fees.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Ready to Rumble in the Wrestler this week.
That is going to be amazing. So if you listen to the A show, you definitely want to listen to late fees this week.
It is going to be. We're doing really. It's a wrestling weekend, so I thought it really matches up this week. But we have LA Times journalist Jen Yamato joining us. She's a huge wrestling fan, and it's one of my favorite episodes of Late Fees, and I think it matches up with everything going on. So you got a really wrestling centric RNC this week. But get away from your.
Yeah, I think Undisputed
Era.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, you know what it does. It doesn't do much for them. It doesn't do much for them if they win. I don't know. It's weird. I'll go with.
It doesn't do much for anybody if anybody wins. Honestly,
I'll
Undisputed Era isn't less Undisputed Era because they lose.
It'll be a great match though, for sure. It's gonna be fucking fire.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's going to be yet another great takeover, but we got to get to the big boy, Survivor Series 2018. Let's speed through some of the whatever matches and really get down to the nitty gritty on some of the big ones. The kickoff show will have the 5-1-5 tag team elimination match between the Usos, Sanity, New Day, Colognes, the Good Brothers versus Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, who are the captains, the B team, Lucha House Party, the Revival, and the Ascension. Tell me why you don't care about this match.
Oof. A million. I'll give you 20 reasons why.
Tag teams are fucking. They couldn't call the Mighty up or somebody.
It's just weird. I wouldn't want the Mighty in this sort of. Well, you know what? I don't care about the Mighty. Who might get?
They couldn't call up Heavy Machinery. I fuck with Heavy Machinery.
They would have honestly. Both of those teams would have blended right in. Honestly, with the way this thing is going,
they would have been more over than the Colognes. Like that Usos segment on SmackDown where they were like giving them shirts was the saddest segment I've ever seen in my life.
Listen, they're Puerto Rican, man. Come on. Listen, they're Puerto Rican. Does this roster make you think like, man, you know who the WWE needs? The Bucks.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because you know what? Like out the Bucks makes all these guys better. Yeah. Because they'll have all great matches and the Usos won't have to carry everything by themselves and they're barely on TV. And you know what? The Bucks could very well be in this match next year. And it'll be fucking incredible. I think that
you know what? I think this match will be fun.
I think it's gonna be fun. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it, but
I'll watch it. It's fun. I'll support, the guys.
I'll go with Raw here.
I'll go with SmackDown. SmackDown just looks better on paper. I don't know who. I mean, they got a Bobby Roode, Chad Gable thing going on where they're on this little like streak thing. I could see them giving up a few false finishes to the Usos, but Usos, Sanity, New Day, the Colognes. Colognes are former undisputed tag team champions, right?
Yeah, I know.
You know that Raw team has no tag team champions on them. Well, the B team, I guess. Listen, the B team are the most decorated tag team on the Raw side.
That's sad.
That is sad.
That's very sad.
That's gross.
The tag teams are dire. I think more than anything, if they're going to call anybody up after Survivor Series, they need to call up some of these teams that are just like sitting around with nothing to do.
Well, I feel like put them on, give them something, man. Give them something the way that you give, I think even the cruiserweights get a little bit more than the tag teams on Raw.
Danny Burch. What's the other dude? Oni Lorcan? You're up. Get the fuck out of it.
But even if I'm those, I'm like, do we really have to be called up? Because they're not doing anything with anybody. The Ascension nothing has been done with them ever in life.
You know why? Because they did that Road Warrior shit back in the day, and that killed them.
How did that kill them? That was like 3-4 years ago. They've done nothing, not a run. Everyone gets a run. The Ascension have not even had anything close to a sneeze at the tag team championships.
They look dumb, bro. That's why.
Yeah. Let them go. If you don't like them, fucking let them go. If I was Victor, I'm sure Victor likes the checks, but damn, like, I still gotta pay them. In my opinion,
you were advocating for the firing of the Ascension.
You know what? That doesn't sound nice when you say it, but in my opinion, it's just like, yo, what are we really doing? Really, what are we doing? Could the Ascension go to New Japan and start tearing it up over there?
Oh, hell no. All right. Now we're going too far. Next match is for the Cruiserweight title. This was not announced for the kickoff show, but if it's on the main...
like we should just assume.
Just assume it's on the kickoff. Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali, which, if you saw their No Holds Barred match from a couple months ago, incredible match. So this should be great.
Run that match back. I don't even care if you run the exact same match back. I think people need to see it. How do you think the LA crowd is going to go up for it? You think people are going to go up for it?
Oh, it's going to be a smart crowd. I already know like a couple people are flying in for this who are generally smart fans. I think they're going to show a lot of love to 205, and I think it's going to be well deserved. This brand is really, just think about a year ago, it was Enzo as the champion, and he was calling everybody out their names in the ring and
kicking Neville in the dick, all this other stuff.
All that stuff. Think about from where they're at for a year ago to now. You have really a bunch of heavy hitters, on that roster, and kudos to them. I think they're going to be received very well. I think a lot of these matches are going to be received very well. But I think that Buddy Murphy's going to retain. I don't think it's not time for Mustafa yet.
I want it to be time for Mustafa, man. This is the second main roster title match that he's had this year. If not now than when? I feel like Buddy Murphy.
Rumble.
I don't know. I feel like Buddy Murphy is like, don't get me wrong, he's great. He's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He is top shelf. But in my opinion, in terms of who's going to win this match, I want to give it to Mustafa Ali. I really do. I think he deserves it. I think he's long deserved it.
Well, I hope that it happens. I listen. I'm not mad with either.
Yeah,
choice. I'm not mad with either choice. I think they're both fucking incredible performers, and I think that Mustafa has earned it this year. I think he's done amazing, even without being in the spotlight. He's made 205 a must-watch show, and I think he does deserve it. So yeah, I'm with it too. Next match, oh boy, AOP Raw Tag Team Champions versus The Bars SmackDown Tag Team Champions, champion versus champion tag match. This is just the nature of the beast with everything that's happened in the past 4 weeks with all these pay-per-views running into each other. We haven't really got a chance to see a lot of these guys interact with each other. But again, this is The Bar and this is AOP. And if we do know anything about AOP, is that they work very well when they're paired up with a team that is better than them. You see it with DIY, the Revival, shit like that back in NXT. I think it will be the same thing here. This is going to be a match that tests AOP on the main roster and really see if they can run. I say give them about 9 minutes, and I think AOP wins this.
I think Big Show turns on Cesaro and Sheamus.
Holy shit.
And joins AOP. And starts wearing the little tactical vest and fatigue pants like everybody else. And he just looks like a giant AOP guy. No, I think this is going to be a good one. I think to me, if I'm Cesaro and Sheamus, if I'm Cesaro and Sheamus, I'm excited to work with a new team. I'm excited that there's new blood on the roster that you can work with, and there's more creative things. They're a powerhouse team. Cesaro and Sheamus are usually the powerhouse team. Let's see how they're outclassed by AOP. In my opinion, to me, I'm chomping at the bit to get in the ring with these guys because they face literally everyone on the roster. Cesaro and Sheamus has been a team for 3 years. It's like, that's long.
Yeah.
They face pretty much everybody. So I'm excited to see Cesaro flip, A-Cam and toss him out the ring and do all sorts.
If he gets a giant swing on one of them, incredible.
It's going to be good. I think The Bar is going to win though.
All right. So you say The Bar, I say AOP. Once again, we're split. Next up is the 5-on-5 Women's Survivor Series match.
Oof.
Again, oof. Team Raw is Mickie James, Nia Jax, Tamina, Natalya, Ruby Riott versus.
Why did they make us wait another week for them to announce that damn team?
I don't know. But then again, I think things happen a little bit differently if Becky doesn't get injured. You know what I'm saying?
The Raw team looks sad.
It does, but I mean, the SmackDown one doesn't look that. I mean, the SmackDown one's even sadder now because
it's kind of sad now.
On the SmackDown team, you got Carmella, Naomi, Asuka, Sonya Deville, and now you take Charlotte out of that match, which I think they had a storyline for her going into that, and you have TBA, which I'm guessing will probably be Mandy Rose, right?
It's either yeah, I would say probably Mandy. Who else would be an option?
Peyton or Billy.
Payne or Billy. And we don't think what's her face is called up.
Who?
Sanity Girl.
Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross.
I would love Nikki Cross. Get another pop.
But if you do it there, that's fine because she would be effectively a face. Really?
I would love if Mandy Rose assumed she was going to be in the match and got Nikki crossed. Like Nikki Cross was just like Paige is like, and we're going to bring out, and Mandy Rose assumes it's her. She comes out flaunting with that weird walk that she does.
Yeah.
And then Nikki Cross just kind of blasts through from the back and into the ring, and it's like, I guess we're doing Nikki Cross. To me, that would be great.
That'd be cool.
I would think so. Who's winning this match? Oof. Who do you think is going to be? Here's a better question. Who do you think will be sole survivor?
I think there might be multiple. I don't think there's going to be like a sole one here. I think there might be some people left. I really think Raw is going to win this. But I think it depends on if they're still going to, or they still want to push the Nia Jax thing. to make her look more imposing against
Nia Jax is the first one out, baby.
That would be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't think anyone else would be surprised either if that happened. But I think this is really a match to make Nia a monster before she, gets fed to Ronda. But
yeah,
I think Raw wins it still. I'll go out on a limb and say that, but I do think you should really pay attention to this match and who wins it and who goes out in what order, and I think that's dependent on where they're going to go in the next couple of weeks with these characters. But I'd say Nia Jax and Tamina are the last two left on Raw side, and I would hate for them to have Asuka be the one that they sacrificed to finally put Nia Jax over after having Asuka beat her so much earlier this year. But I think that's what's going to happen.
I think they're done with Asuka temporarily. I mean, just on the mixed match challenge, she lost.
Did she get pinned?
Yes, she tapped out to Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Oh, again, she tapped out again.
Oh my God. I was just like, what? What are we doing with our lives right now? I'm such Asuka.
I mean, the fans are not done with her.
Yeah.
The fans still love her. I think if they flip the switch like they did with Becky with Asuka, people would forget all about this year.
Yeah,
honestly, they really would. So you think SmackDown's gonna win or Raw?
Nia Jax and Tamina Soul Survivors are from Raw.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is pretty much set in stone at this point. And again, if plans have changed, SmackDown's gonna win this match.
Yeah.
Change. On to the 5-on-5 men's Survivor Series match. Team Raw, Wolf, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre,
mid card, man,
Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, and Bobby Lashley versus The Miz, Shane McMahon, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy. Very indicative of these two rosters. I think if some of these guys should have been moved to the other brand a long time ago, but if I was picking the Soul Survivor,
it's very mid cardy. It's like it's very mid cardy.
It's mid-cardy and Shane McMahon. And Rey Mysterio. I think Rey Mysterio has a great showing, but I do really think that coming out of this, you want Braun Strowman looking strong. I think Raw win this one too.
Yeah, just to set up for that.
I think Raw wins it to set. That's what I'm saying. I think Raw wins this to set up things for other things that are happening on this show.
Well, you could also have Drew McIntyre be the Soul Survivor.
Absolutely. Either way, I think Raw wins this. Well, oh shit, we're gonna get Finn Balor, Rey Mysterio.
That would be fun.
We're gonna get Braun Strowman, Rey Mysterio. Like that's gonna be crazy.
God, it looks so weird now.
Yeah.
Without Daniel Bryan, they nixed the entire plan. There's no more Miz Daniel Bryan.
The Miz is once again left in the.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the way this ended. In another country in 2 minutes. I'm not happy. I can't say I'm happy. The Miz deserves better.
He's not. So you say Raw too?
I'm saying Raw and I'm saying after that the Miz deserves better. Quote my tweet after it because it's gonna happen.
Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura, champion versus champion. Of course, Seth Rollins is the IC champion.
Why is this higher than the other champion versus champion match on Wikipedia?
Oh yeah, that was weird. I don't know why it was that high. I think
because Marks control Wikipedia.
Absolutely. I think this would be like third match on the card, but
might open. Shoot, no.
You want to open with like if they're gonna do the cruiserweight shit, that'll probably be like the cool down match. I will open with the champion versus champion tag match. To be honest with you,
I don't think people going up for them champions. I think you want to set it off hot. You do Seth Rollins. Hot. We're doing hot, cold, hot. Oh my God! Shout out to anyone who gets that. I don't know if anyone.
Shout out to Kaz too. Shout out to Kaz.
You just hot. We're gonna start off hot, but yeah, Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Did the lack of build? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a cold match. I don't think it matters because if you just look at the players, you're pretty much sold. And I think I've been telling a lot of people that like it's the first time ever. It doesn't have to be like, you know what? Like Sami Zayn's Shinsuke Nakamura was not built like that. It was literally like there was like no footage of Shinsuke at that point either. So it was like they just threw it together. it can happen. I'm worried that if Shinsuke is going to keep that same energy. That's all I'm worried about.
I think so. I think especially if you make him the opening match, I think that gives him time. I think they'll win over the crowd. I think a whole lot of things. I think LA is going to go up for Shinsuke.
Yeah.
And I think LA is going to go up for Seth Rollins. So I think it's a great attraction match, if anything. Really.
So I got Shinsuke winning this. I think it's an obvious pick here.
SmackDown needs some winners, so I'm going to go with Shinsuke as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, they, as much as people don't believe it, they really protect Shinsuke a lot. So I think he's going to win this match.
Yeah, I think so too. Based on the fact SmackDown needs winners.
Which leads us to the next match, which is, to me, the most interesting match on this card. On SmackDown this Tuesday, Daniel Bryan won the World Heavyweight Championship from AJ Styles.
Jesus.
And
what happened?
Giveth and taketh.
I'm fine with it.
AJ won it before Survivor Series and he lost it before Survivor Series. I think it's poetic. I think it's excellent.
I agree.
I do also think that how about how much they think of Becky that they were just like, you know what, we're just going to do the heel turn tonight.
You know, I thought of that as well. I thought that this reaction to this and Daniel Bryan winning it was a jerk reaction to Becky no longer being in this match and them kind of losing the hottest match that they have on this card.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you kind of think that as well.
Yeah, of course. It's so obvious that they said, well, it's twofold. It's, we have a face, we have a baby face on this show that can carry the show as the baby face. We don't need two. We don't need two Daniel Bryans.
It reminds me of the booking of what they did when Roman Reigns left Monday Night, and then they decided to do the Dean Ambrose heel turn, right, in terms of just kind of snapping back people into reality and giving people a new narrative to sort of chase, as opposed to Becky's injured, what are we going to do? Now it's Daniel Bryan is champion.
And he's a heel. Yeah, it was such a great turn. It's been building for a while, even from the AJ Bryan build up to Crown Jewel. I don't think this came out of nowhere whatsoever. I think if you're looking for an explanation, obviously you're going to get it soon. I think that I love that they've been doing these turns. Like, if you think about these shows, SmackDown has been turned on its head like 4 times this year.
Yeah.
Just of things that have happened. I think this, to me, I'll just say it right now, like it's either this or NXT going down. We're close to December here. These two are like really like my show of the year. One of those two shows. I think SmackDown has just been consistent as far as being a great show. And I think just having Daniel Bryan on top again, no one should be upset at that. And having him be a heel again, he hasn't been a heel. Think about this, Meelz. Last time Daniel Bryan was a heel, it was like 2013. That's a long
2011.
Was it?
2011.
He was a face in 2013?
He was a heel going into WrestleMania where he lost to Sheamus.
And then Hell No was that year too?
Yes. Hell No was a heel? I thought Hell No was kind of just like stupid.
They were bad guys at first. He was a bad guy still. Yeah, he was a bad guy still. When they started, yes, when they started Hell No, he was a bad guy. He flipped to face after the Shield.
That still was like 2011. I'm sure it was like 2011. Wait, which one did Team Hell No face Ziggler and Big E at WrestleMania? God, no one remembers that. I think that was 29. Yeah, you're probably right.
Regardless of that, he's been a face for a really long time. And I think this is a chance for him to really sink his teeth. And also, like, he's faced every single heel on the show. I don't think people have noticed this, but he's faced everybody already. He's faced Miz, Joe, Almas. Who am I missing?
Randy.
Nakamura, I think. Randy. He's faced them all. Or he had smoke with Nakamura. I don't think they actually had a match, but they had smoke.
I mean, they can tear it up, shit.
Yeah, they've had smoke. But I think like you it's fine. I think that like it also gives you this match. And I think no one should be complaining about the fact that we get this match out of it.
It's wild that this has happened because normally this would never happen. I don't think WWE had any stock in Daniel Bryan becoming champion ever again, or at least not in the near future.
Maybe not this year, but he was supposed to be the one to drop the title to Brock before he had to retire the first
Right.
time, or not retire, before he got injured.
It was supposed to be SummerSlam, and then John Cena walked into that ass whooping.
Yeah, and thankful for that. It wasn't Bryan, knowing what we know now. But we finally get this match 4 years in the making. Of course, it's Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. Regardless of how we got here, who do you think's winning?
Oof.
This is going to be interesting because if you're looking at our scorecard right now, Meelz, SmackDown's down by a lot.
I think SmackDown gets their ass beat on the show, in my opinion, because a lot of things I just don't see Raw winning, or what would be the reason for Raw winning.
Oh, you mean SmackDown?
Yeah, SmackDown winning. So I really do think they get their ass beat on the show, because then you would either need, you'd probably need, usually they do, we have 7 matches, so we have 4 on 3 and one could break the tie and the 3, God, yeah.
I'm gonna say it right now. I think Bryan's gonna win this. I remember I said like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, Brock's job right now for these last 2-3 appearances should be putting people over.
That don't mean it's gonna happen.
I'm just saying. I'm just telling you that this is my mindset.
My man tossed up Braun Strowman like a sack of potatoes 5 times.
Well, I mean, you think it's about to be a 4-minute match? Hell no.
I think no. I don't think it's gonna be a 4-minute match, but I do see Brock Lesnar winning this match.
I think Daniel Bryan's momentum and as a heel, which he just became on Tuesday, is severely hurt if he loses to Brock here.
I agree.
If it is anything,
Brock is Brock.
If it is anything other than a non-finish, I think it hurts Bryan here.
I think but in a sense, Brock is also Brock. Like, would you be that disappointed if it was like Daniel Bryan versus like a Kevin Owens? You'd be like, damn, Daniel Bryan really shouldn't have lost that match. But when it's Brock Lesnar, like, it's Brock. Like, you can't even blame him if he loses, because Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. He's Brock Lesnar.
I think that, again, I get what you're saying, but I also see ahead to the future that he's losing this title soon.
And also, it's a heel versus heel. Like, it's an interesting dynamic they got here that they've just kind of like, let's do it, whatever.
What if Heyman turns on Brock here?
It shows up on SmackDown? Whew.
Yeah. And it's him and Bryan.
Nah, I wouldn't buy that. Why are we doing that? I don't know. I don't know why we would do that. I feel like they got a good thing going.
It's one of my wild predictions. It's one of my wild bookings. It's one of my wild bookings.
People call it genius. I don't call me the fool.
Meelz, come on. All right, come on. Come on. No one calls me a genius for anything that I say. All right. Well, I very rarely nonsensically book things. Okay.
Sure.
Meelz, and here's the thing. I very rarely shit on your booking too.
Listen. My shit isn't nonsensical. Mine is just.
Oh my god.
Mine. Everything is for a reason, to make the product seem cooler than it is.
All right,
I think wrestling fans. Don't get me wrong. I think wrestling fans are creatures of like repetition and like patterns, and like they've seen something happen and they've seen it happen for 20 years, which WWE is very good with doing.
Yeah.
In terms of how they make stars and who they put championships on and who they decide to push at what certain time and blah, 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 blah. I think they've been trained that way by the WWE,
Well, they must hate this year.
But I think, and I'm saying it, yeah, I think this year they've really changed things. I think creative isn't the same as it was previous years. I think Vince McMahon has maybe taken a bit of a step back, even though he's still involved. I think he's taken a little bit of a step back, and he's allowed, some other people to control things. And I think they're catering a lot more to the fans than the fans probably realize. That's why,
some things are happening, but they don't want to give him credit. They don't want to give him credit for good stuff.
No, they don't want to give him credit for good stuff. They want to shit on them for Saudi Arabia and WWE Evolution and all this other stuff, and allowing Nia Jax on Raw, but they don't want to give him credit for Daniel Bryan is the fucking champion on SmackDown. Did you even you knew you wanted that like 2, 3, 4 years ago, right?
Months ago.
You wanted Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar like forever, right? Like, you booked it at every Royal Rumble for the last 5 years, even though this man could not wrestle. We still booked Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan anyway. So it's like, I think it's a different era of WWE, and I think they're thinking differently and a little bit outside of the box, which I can applaud them on. But that said,
Brock? You say Brock?
I'm going Brock.
I say Bryan. I think it'll be a great match. But let's get to what I believe will still be the main event on Sunday.
I hope so.
Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, biggest match on the show, to me. We've already said our thoughts on swapping the match with Becky and rather swapping it from Mania. But I think that this gives it a lot more fire. I think this has the potential, and Charlotte can bring it out of her. Mm-hmm. This has the potential to be Ronda's best match on Sunday.
Yes, it does. You know what? Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. I think this match will steal the show.
Wow.
I'm saying it right now. This will be the best match on the card and potentially be a match of the year contender.
Okay.
These two are too good at what they do. And I think Charlotte Flair, when she's excited about a match, she really gets into it. And you can kind of tell from her movements the first few seconds of the match.
You listen, to me, Charlotte got 2 contenders on the books this year.
Yeah.
She got 2. So
she's got 2, and I think she's going to make it a 3rd with this match.
If she got 3, and what's crazy to me, character-wise, I think Becky's is top 5 to me this year. Mm-hmm. In ring-wise, I'm putting Charlotte over her in ring. I'm putting Charlotte over her in ring because when I think about the performances in that last woman standing, and I think about performances in their match, even the match where she won the title, I'm thinking about the Asuka match. I'm thinking about potentially this Ronda match. I think Charlotte got her beat.
I agree. I think Charlotte trust me, there are times where we talk about Charlotte and be like, what is she doing?
Exactly.
P.U. But I do think that when she turns it on, she's one of the best, period.
Absolutely. I think you put her next to anybody. She's one of the best on that roster right now.
And I think when you have a match against Ronda Rousey and just the magnitude of the match and just like what it's, what it stands for and what it means and the fact that it could close a Big 4 show, she's going to be excited. And I think they're going to come through with a very competitive, very athletic. Both of them are stellar athletes. I think
I'm scared. I'm scared for that. I'm scared for that moonsault because we haven't seen Ronda catch nobody yet.
Oof! What if I would tell you Ronda's going to do a moonsault?
I'll turn the show off.
Okay, all right. I have no intel. But yes, it's going to be good.
Will you agree with me with saying that Ronda needs this win more than Charlotte does? I think they're going to go that way.
Yes. Ronda does need the win more than Charlotte does at this point.
Yeah, I think I fully believe that Ronda will walk out of this on top. I think it'll be great, however. And I think, honestly, on paper, even as we're talking about it, I wasn't as excited before we started talking about this show. Mm-hmm. On paper, this is a pretty good card, man. This is a pretty good card. I'm not even going to lie.
Wait. You left out that question that you wanted to ask about this Ronda and Charlotte Flair.
Oh, yeah. I did have a question penciled in here. Do you think this match opens the door for the horsewomen match? And I think they've been alluding to it, and I think they haven't been very subtle in doing so.
So here's what I think. We talk about that hug.
Okay.
The hug. Becky Lynch. You know who's also not on the card?
Who?
Sasha Banks and Bayley.
Ah, okay.
You know who's also just happens to be in LA that weekend, may or may not be doing anything?
Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, Shayna Baszler, Marina Shafir, and
Jessamine Duke.
There we go. Yeah, all of them. I'm just saying, we either get the backstage segment pre-match, or we get the hug. Literally, could be. We're setting up this match.
I'll raise you one. I'll say the Ronda heel turn happens here because there's a reason they kept Charlotte face. I'll say the Ronda heel turn happens here. I'll say that the reason that they probably get beat down at the end of the show is because they're not at full power and Becky's not there. And I think you get the horsewomen match, maybe Fastlane. And
Fastlane. I don't waste on Fastlane. Let's go to Mania, baby. Come on.
No, it's not happening in Mania. You want the leaders to go at it. I say if you want to do that, 3-on-3, then 3-on-3 horsewomen, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, or not Sasha, Charlotte, Bailey versus Marina.
It ain't 4 horsewomen unless there's 4 of them.
No, I'm saying you have Becky, Ronda main event Mania, and have the other women do a six person tag.
I would rather the other women be in the corner. And we just get all the shenanigans.
I don't think that's happening. You can't have it both ways, bro. It's either
no. I would rather Ronda versus Becky, and then Charlotte, Bailey, and Sasha are in Charlotte's corner or Becky's corner, and then the other 3 horsewomen are in Ronda's corner.
But then you could still do that match at like Backlash or something. I don't think. Here's the thing: if you say Meelz again, and you've agreed with me when I said this before, and I don't know why you're doing this now. If you save everything for big shows, you won't have any. Like you won't have anything. Like an injury could happen.
But you still have like the other 4 combinations. You still have other combinations of matches you can go to before you go to the 4 at Mania.
And that's what I would. No, you're gonna wait a whole year.
It's not. It's what Mania's like 5 months from now.
You're not. They're not going with the horsewoman versus horsewoman match that you want.
I'm sure. No. I'm sure. Listen. I'm just throwing this out there. If it's Ronda versus Becky, I'm 100% cool with that. I'm just saying plans have evidently changed a little bit.
Not to a tag match.
Right. Well, yeah. But I'm throwing it out there. I'm not saying this is concrete. I'm a fantasy booker. I'm literally throwing it out there. What if this happened? If it happens, Ronda versus Becky, I'm cool with that. And have the women, just be, around during the match and have little run-ins and all this other stuff.
Well, you don't want to, again, not to interrupt you, but you don't want Sasha, Bailey, Charlotte, especially Charlotte, not doing anything until that match.
They're still in the main event. Like, they're part of the main event. You know what I'm saying?
They're not wrestling in it.
I know. I 100% know, but they're part of the main event. And you can still close the show with like a handshake or whatever, BS, wrestling thing that's going to go on.
So what's wrong with the 6-woman tag at the show?
I mean, whatever. Then we do the 6-women tag. I feel like the show will end the same way either way. Like...
I'm just saying a lot of people would be upset if these women were all in just the corner of these women. I think it's still possible to do it, but I still think they should still have a match anyway.
Probably. But then you also you also have 700 other women on the card.
Yeah, I think Asuka will probably be champion by then. I think
it's not like you don't have other options in terms of keeping things happy. Yes, it would be great if we had Sasha Banks wrestle at WrestleMania. To me, in terms of what Sasha Banks has planned at WrestleMania, which in my opinion, currently right now, nothing.
Charlotte doesn't either. I think this is probably the better idea in terms of making a WrestleMania moment. I'm thinking about more of the moment. I'm thinking less of the actual, we need a match on the card, and I'm thinking of the moment. They can handshake tomorrow.
I'm thinking of the moment at WrestleMania. Come on. All right. It doesn't matter.
We got to stop holding WrestleMania up to like this. You got to do it there, brother. Like, you could do it anywhere.
You do it at WrestleMania, it's special.
That's why I hate Mania. Like, you got to do it there, brother.
All right. Whatever.
You got to do it at Mania, brother.
I mean, it's good to do it. Listen, I think Becky and Ronda could happen on any other card as well. I agree.
It could.
I agree. It could happen on any other card. But I think when you think of a WrestleMania moment,
having them handshake
is
your moment.
See, all right, this is why I don't tell you my ideas. Because you're here laughing at my ideas. And you're saying I don't disrespect your ideas. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I'm gonna keep my ideas to myself. And when it happens, I'm gonna just say I told you so. Whatever.
Listen, the handshake could happen. I'm just saying, don't just say relegate the women. And remember, I said that we were going to argue.
Relegate. No,
remember, I said. You're
saying relegate. It's not relegate. It's still a WrestleMania moment. Don't get me wrong.
Meelz, remember, I said we're going to argue about something way stupider. Probably 45 minutes ago. But
first of all, WrestleMania moment. Come on, there's more than one way to have a moment at WrestleMania.
Well, let's keep that
completely clear. You don't need a match to have a moment.
Meelz, you can have your handshake. I'm not saying your handshake is. I'm just saying don't have those women in the corner.
Yes, you are. It's a WrestleMania moment.
Have your handshake. You can have it.
You're not saying
have your handshake.
WrestleMania moment.
It's your you know what? Your handshake is a WrestleMania moment. I don't cede to anyone in a debate. Here you go.
Thank you. The handshake is your WrestleMania moment.
There you go.
And now when it happens, no one's gonna give me any credit, or everyone's gonna say like, "Wow, that was so amazing," and I'm gonna be like, you know what, fuck you guys.
And there you have it. That's Survivor Series 2018. And that is just a rundown of everything. Unfortunately, I will not be in LA this weekend for Survivor Series. I'll be on the East Coast. So
the LA of the East.
so just shit on Virginia, why don't you?
Oh my God. No, go home.
Yeah, I gotta go home. So I'm gonna be there. So, but for anyone coming out to LA, have a safe trip. Everyone be safe out in LA this weekend for Survivor Series. I will be watching it with you guys on East Coast time on Saturday and Sunday. And
fall asleep in your chair.
Yes.
Then you normally. I'm just letting you know. The sun will be set when the shame starts. Just letting it will be dark outside and the show will start.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Hey.
But as always, we will be back next week with. Oh, and you know what? Another thing I had to say: Mega Ran was supposed to be on the show this week. He had to rain check, so he'll be back very soon on the A show. But shout out to him for even considering it. And as always, on RNC Radio, we have so many podcasts coming up for you. We have, of course, RSPN that came out this week with Mark and Jeff. We also have late fees coming out this Friday with myself, Eric, Pat, and Wesley, and special guest Jen Yamato talking wrestling movies this episode. Meelz, what's on Two Belts?
Two Belts this week. Well, we did a double header. Last week we did an episode. This week we're doing an episode. This week we are going to be talking about Grammy nomination predictions. Who will be nominated for the Grammys? The announcement is coming up in 2 weeks. Who will be nominated for a Grammy? Not completely sure what albums will come out, but stay tuned. We are also going to talk about a lot of different things. I mean, there was a fake Party Next Door album that dropped. Migos was carpool karaokeing, which broke the internet in a kind of way. A lot of things. So we got a lot. Jill Scott was doing some weird things with a microphone.
Oh boy, we can't talk about that on this show.
No, we will. You got some things to talk about.
All right. So until next week.
I want to also, because I may not be able to do this on the lookout for at least another month, but thank you to everyone who tuned in on the lookout.
Oh,
one of our best episodes to date. Shout out to Balvin. He was amazing. Continues to be the god.
Balvin loves to be offline on PS4. He don't like to play PS4 with me no more.
Oh man.
So there you go.
That's not good. But we got a lot of things. If people are looking forward to, the Dragon Ball Super Broly premiere, first of all, avoid the spoilers. The spoilers are everywhere. And then second, thanks for tuning in to the podcast. We'll be back next month. Me and Jeff will be back next month with like a holiday treat. We haven't started the next season yet, but we'll be back with a holiday treat.
Absolutely. Thank you to everyone who listens to the A Show every single week. We are, quickly going into 2019, which means that Meelz, it's almost time for our lists. So get ready for that.
That's true. Big true.
So that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully we can get some special guests on that as well. But as always, we'll be back next week with the latest and greatest in pro wrestling and beyond. So until next week, I'm Justin for Meelz signing off on the A Show. Peace out.
Every Roots Update.